We're going to focus mainly on the bearish count for the markets. And yesterday, I just want to have a quick look at the S&P and the NASDAQ as well, because they're turning. So yesterday we looked at, this is the S&P here. Yesterday we looked at the S&P in terms of having a C wave here for a top. And we also looked at it as being wave 3 and 4 here. So as a top here, we were looking at as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here for wave 1, and then looking for the A wave, the B wave, and I think we're around here somewhere. And we can look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I think that we've got the turn here for this at the moment. So yeah, we can expect further downside, but of course we just need to be you'll need to be a little bit careful, because let's just assume for a moment that this is a wave 4 here, and this sell off towards the end of the session here, it may just come down to the 50-60% area through here. So you wouldn't want to load up on the short side too much at that point, you know what I mean? So in a way, we would really want two ways to look at this. First of all, we would want the 4,100 as the retested resistance, so finding that low here and then putting a trigger under that low and then adding to here. And then you've got group 2 here, so you want to be doing the same thing here as well with the 4065, and then you can also do the same for the 50 here as well here. So the other point is that we need to work out, because we've got 5 waves from here to here, right, to this low here. So you can imagine the market coming back to this low here, yeah, somewhere around here. And then that means that it would probably be 5 waves around this point. So you would need to accommodate a 5 waves down, 3 waves back, and then you can look to short under that. So while you're doing this here with the trading levels at certain price points, you also need to take in consideration the wave count. The other thing that you would need to take on board as well is that it's not like we've got a clean 5 waves down so far. So we could certainly just have an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave down to here, and then move up as well, because we don't have a larger 5 waves down here yet. So it's not like so it's basically just fractals, degrees of things, isn't it? So we would have to look here as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 to the downside, and then 1 and 2 here, and it's not going to be easy. So I wouldn't overdo it at this point. Now also too, with the NASDAQ here, the NASDAQ had a better situation in terms of its pattern from the top here. We can look at this here as wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as we did yesterday, then the A, the B, and we're looking for a C wave to come back in. This was the 61.8%, but also the supply level here, and 1 being the strongest number. 13 is important, but when you open this area, the 100 is more important. So then this morning in my time in Australia, Blue Mountain, Sydney, I was looking at this being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for wave 1, and then the A, the B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, a little bit struggling at the end here, but we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for this. So what you can actually see now is we can see that there's 5 waves down here. So that's fantastic, because it also gives us the direction when you get 5 waves in the opposite direction of the trend. That means we're going to have a corrective rally that will come back to supply levels at the 13, and then highly likely to move down here again, because it's taken out this low here where we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So it's not like it's going to be up for 1 and back for 2 at this point. But obviously, this becomes the short trade setup here. You can also look to short in this area here for the 50-60% retracement level, in here as well. For that, you can do all sorts of things there, but generally we're sort of on our way for a bigger picture to the downside. So we could be pretty much assured that if this is 1 and 2 here, then wave 3 normally comes down to the previous lows here. So we could look at that here, and then wave 4, copy, paste, and wave 5 over here. So the thing is that what we have to do here now is we have to be mindful that, you know, because I'm not perfect, it means that this move, I mean, we could come down a lot further, but at the same time, the reality is that that could be an ABC pattern and we go up from there. Right, so that's what we're up against. So really, to go the next step down, we have to go below these 5 waves. But it does give us an opportunity to, you know, to be on the short side down here, down to around the 2.8. It's going to get bumpy as, you know, pretty bumpy down here. But yeah, there we go. So there's a little trade set up to the downside. Now, this idea of 3 waves here, we need to take that on board with the stock. So don't get lost in, you know, I mean, there's plenty of YouTube videos saying the end of the world and all the rest of it. But things normally take much longer than one expects. You know, it's like that movie with, was it Michael Berry in it, The Big Short? You know, he held those positions. It was lucky that it was OPM, other people's money to a point. But the thing is that, you know, for that short trade to come out that he was looking for, it, you know, there was a lot of that, just everything takes much longer than you think. So we don't have any evidence of a major crash at this point, not within, you know, not from my perspective anyway, of the patterns. Yes, it could be there, you know, but can I confirm it? Well, no, I can't. You know, we could still be in a bullish market to the upside, and, you know, I mean, I think trying to keep, you know, a level head is part of it all. But there we go. So with Apple here, now with Apple here, this picture, as I've keep mentioning, this doesn't give me 5 waves down here, right? So I know that this is a corrective pattern, but it still doesn't stop it, you know, coming down here and then going back up at that point. Now, also too, that because we can look at this, you know, I'm just looking at it as a bearish picture at the moment, you know, with a couple of WXYs, and looking at this as an A and a B and a C up here. But it doesn't mean it's the top either, because we don't have 5 waves down here just yet, and we'll probably get them. We'll get this one like the NASDAQ, and then we'll get 5 here. So we'll probably come down to the wave 4 here, or 1 lesser degree. Now, we've got bullish count for this as well, so this could move up from that point there as well. I've been informed that it's in the media that the shipping is of product is 40% down for Apple, which is quite a big thing. So that will probably show up in the earnings, I guess, depending on counting dates and things. But yeah, so I mean, all I've done here is just count 5 waves up here, and, you know, it doesn't mean that that's actually a top at this particular point, but we have been more focused on the bearish side. Now, I would be focused on the bullish side here, in that regarding the trading levels, we've got 150 here, then we got 165, 172, and 180. This is all of group 2 here. We never really got into group 2 here, because if we got support on group 2 here, I'd be talking about the long side for this. So now I'm going to talk about the short side, but and yes, it can come down further, but bringing it down to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree is probably the right thing to do. And like I said, looking at it as an A and a B and a C here, and anything below that, then it opens up another can of worms at that point. So going from 50k, I'm not going to go and have a look at the bullish counts. I'm just going to stay with the bearish counts as we did yesterday. These are the 5 waves that we counted up to this top here. It doesn't have to be a top as such, you know. What I'm thinking is that we just need to be, you know, a bit chilled on it. Now, we could count this in different ways, but currently, you know, we counted this down as as 5 waves to here. We were looking for the retracement we got, and then we've got the drop here. It's dropped quite quickly. I could look at this as a 4th wave here. We could probably go 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we may get something like this coming down here, and then we'll get an ABC pattern. If we get sort of 5 waves down, then we'll get some sort of ABC pattern, and then another 5 waves down. Now, as I mentioned before, this wave 4, 1 lesser degree here, once we get 5 waves in this leg, anything below that, then that opens up, a bigger picture at that point, because that would also give us 5 waves then, and then we'll have a retracement, and then we'll have another 5 down. So then it gets a bit exciting. But in this initial phase here, we may just get 3 waves down, and this could play out in different ways as well here. So it doesn't really matter how we label it, because we could have it as an A and a B, right? And we could have it as wave 1 and 2. We could have it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. We could have it as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and, further here. So all I can say at the moment is if this low here is breached, then it takes it past the first initial 3 wave move here. And of course we can go along above this top here while that low stays in place. If that low is breached, then we need to remove that. So I will remove it if that low is breached here, because we could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 come up here, just nip that long position out, and then drop at that point based on that. So only if we have 3 waves here. So we were looking at this. I think I might have changed it. I can't remember, but this is just 100 ticks, so that's from the top. So look, you can look at, I had all this counted here. I don't need to have it counted, but we could look at it as 5 waves. So we could look at it as wave A or wave 1B or wave 2 here. I could look at this as 1 and 2 here, or I could put 1 and 2 here. That's about 40%, probably a tad more than that, really. Yeah, just 40% retracement. So I could call it a wave 4 as well, but if I called it a wave 4, then it would have overlap with this as well. So to have a look at this as an A and a B and 1 and 2 here, and so on. So I'll just put this under here. In fact, I'll just move it for the time being. I mean, it can be 1 ABC for 2 here, and then push up. There's a few things that can go on here. We don't have a good setup on this, but like I said, that it does look kind of bearish because of their low shipping of products. So anyway, that's Apple. Don't have a nice 5 wave structure down here for this one at the moment, and you kind of want to be a bit mindful shorting some of the strongest stocks out there. Okay, with Amazon here. So we're looking at the bearish count. We're looking at an A wave here, a B wave here, wave 1 and 2 here, and then looking for further downside. We've also got a bullish count for this as well. So I'll just have a quick look just so we don't, we have a bit of perspective on this here. So we're still, the market hasn't let go of that. There's probably a few bullish counts, so I wouldn't get too tied up on that one either. But the main point here is that it hasn't actually let go of the 100 here. If it took the top out here, then it's a long trade. It would need the first low below the level here to get the short trade. So some sort of move down and then a retest back up. It's a bit like the NASDAQ really is good. This is just on 100 ticks here with the NASDAQ, so we're looking for the top here. So we've got 5 waves down, and so we've got this low exposed now, So the thing is, yes, we can go short under here, but we'll be looking for some sort of A, B, and C here. Then we can lift that up to this level here. You can short here. You may get another little 5 waves down here, and then an ABC pattern here, so that might be helpful for a smaller position here. Then you look over to here to find what trading levels you're at. 50, number 5, number 8 here. So you basically, you got 5 waves from the top. So you're working from the low up to be sort of triggered in. You can do from the top here, but the good way about doing this here is that working from the bottom up, is that if you get triggered here, you know you can put your stop here. If you're short here and the market goes up further, then you'll have to put your stop way up here somewhere out of the way, you know. So it's really just about managing risk. And it's not to say my way is better than, you know, the highway, but it's just, I just try to do the safest thing. But that retest here is kind of important, and that's what we're looking at at this market here. And 1 is the strongest number here, so it's not going to let go kind of quickly here. You know, if you have a look at how it can play out, this is a scenario here. You could have been short in here, and then it went back above the level here, because that's also important. So when we're talking about this particular pattern here coming down and going here, yes, it can come back above the level. In fact, it's more common for it to come back above the level here. So that's why I like to wait for those setups under this one. If it goes above the level, then it's a rinse and repeat. This little pattern in here of from entry to stop here, that straight line here. In fact, it won't be like that. Or this big pattern here will be a fractal inside this one. So this will come down. It'll be the arrival, the reaction, the first low below the level, an ABC pattern, and then down again. And then you can do it in here again as well on intraday basis. So it's just a fractal game. But it can be nice and clean like this one here. It can be a little bit messy where you get sort of 2 of them in here. You know, so it's a little bit sort of a bit tricky sometimes. It's not as easy as the manual says. So I'll go to 1000 ticks, which is the that's where we were yesterday. So now look, just because I've got it as just because I've got it as wave 1 here, an A and a B and a C for wave 2 here, it doesn't make it true. Okay, it's just it needs to be, you know, clarified in certain. I mean, first of all, we need, for this to be an A and a B and a C, we need this low here taken out. And even if it got taken out, it doesn't really make it bearish at this point either. We need a bit more to it. So we can go long above here, but we counted 5 waves down here, then an ABC here yesterday, and now we got this little wave 1 coming into play here as well. So this will be a little wave 2 in here. It may come a little bit high into the 50-60%, but large numbers tend to pull it out a bit, you know. So I'll just take this and pop this under here. You can refine that a little bit further, and you know, you might not want to bet the house on that, so just make it a thinner line to make it, you know, a very small position at that point. Let's just because we need to see how it goes, you know. I mean, it could still be an A wave, a B wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming down here, you know. We could look at all of this as wave 1 to the upside and come back to wave 2 here and then go up here again. It's not like we've got, you know, we're trading in all of these markets, we're really trading against the trend. You know, NVIDIA is one of the strongest here. And look, it could be viewed in different ways. Let's go out and have a bit of a look at it, really. So here's a daily chart. So really that's NVIDIA. You know, it's probably delivered 100% since the beginning of the year or something at least. So, you know, obviously when it comes up into this area here, it's, you know, it's going to meet supply up here. You know, it's just like an elastic band reaching its max. There's different ways to count this here. We could count it up as an A and a B and a C wave up here. We could do that. It's got a very nice trend. It certainly looks bullish. We could look at it in different ways. I've got this counted up with a little wave 1 and 2 in here, and a 3 and a 4 here, then 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. So it's possible to put wave 3 here, by the way, and have wave 4 come back here, all the way up here. It's also possible to put this here as 1 and 2 here, which is also practical, and put wave 3 here and wave 4, smaller wave 4 to come back, and we're still heading up higher here. There's different ways to count it. And I know that's not what folks want to hear, but you know, it does look rather bullish rather than bearish at this point. But it's not really, you know, being up here and being, you know, it's not the sort of thing that you would, in the current market environment, and where it is so high in the trend at supply levels here, it's not something that, you know, you would bet a lot of money on at that point. You know, we just need to edge forward. But just to let you know, there's different ways to count this. So we just need to be, this would be the bearish count here. It doesn't mean that that's the top there either at this point, you know, but it's possible. But there's two different ways to count this up through here. I mean, most of this trend counts quite nicely, pretty easy to count. So yeah, but anyway, let's go in. So this was the bullish count here on this thing here. So I mean, I could put this here as a wave, because that little wave 5, I could put that there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, would you, is that right, Pete? You know, I mean, or do we count this up as 1 and 2 here and then move up further? And is there another count, and so on? So all I know is that when I have trouble with the count, I just revert back to price. And I know with price in this instance here, using the trading levels, is that we've got a major level here, medium level here, and then we've got group 2 here. So while the market's in group 2 here, I would keep it as bullish. And if it does come down, it would need to have the lower end of group 2 here. It's okay to come through group 2 like it did here, for example, but then anything below that low, or anything below this one, if it comes, then we would know that's going to be pulled back to number 5 at that point. So then we know that we've got a big group. So basically, the 265 is a retested resistance using the trading levels, classic trading levels pattern here as a resistance. Just, you know, other ways to look at that as well. You could also add volume to those moves. So if that 265 became the resistance, then we would have to look at a top being in place. But while it's not there, then we need to stay with the trend, you know. So we need to have clear rules about how we behave and act in the markets, because, you know, I mean, we're all emotional beings, and really the markets are emotional as well. They kind of move on failed expectations, or, you know, surprises and all those sort of things. So more emotional than things. I know people say they've got good value and stuff, but you know, when things are valued at, you know, X their earning power, I mean, it kind of gets out a bit of control. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So only relative to something else, I guess. So yeah, anyway, waffle. Let's just cruise in here. Just have a look at what I've done on some of the bigger pictures here. So in this case here, for example, I've got sort of wave 3 up here. So it's possible to count this up as 1 and 2 here, and then a little 1 and 2 in here, you know, and keep building to the upside here. But it's also possible to put wave 5 in here, you know. So that's the kind of thing, because it's 5 waves here, you know, we can go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. That's all okay. Sometimes the 5th wave is a little bit shorter because, you know, the market, the NASDAQ's pulling down, isn't it, you know? So yeah, so what do you do in these cases? And well, that's why I say I have to revert back to price, and all I can say is 265 as the retested resistance will bring the price back to 250 at that point. And then if that's the case, then we'll need to look at wave 4 coming back into here, you know. I'll just have a look what we've got on 5K here. Got a slightly different count here on this. This wave 4 could also be put over here on this. So it still comes back to the point of being 265 as the retested resistance or not. So there's different ways to look at all of this. This is where we were yesterday, looking at wave 3 here and 4 here, looking at 1 and 2 here. Because the other thing with this too, by the by, is that this particular move down here is not in 5 waves, it's in 3 waves, an A and a B and a C. I suppose I could get 5 waves if I use that low, but it's truncated at that point, and then look at that as an A, B, C pattern up there. So, you know, that's possible. It's a little bit of a long shot, you know. So yeah, I'll just stay with this situation here. You can see that it's firmly from here to here. It's firmly got itself sitting in group 2 here, minor group 2, 65, 72, and 80. So we'll just play it out, you know, because I don't know, you know, I know market tops don't always end the way that one would want them, you know. You'd think they would end, you know. So we'll just chill. So basically, I'm still bullish with this because I've got 3 waves here. That's the Elliott technical side of it. The trading level side of it, using price, I've still got support in the market. We're still in an uptrend. You know, should this just be an ABC here and then push up here? Probably. So that's sort of where we are at the moment with this. So I'm still thinking 300, but if the 265 becomes the retested resistance, then, you know, with a move down here like this and going back up, you know, that's where we'll make our decision here based on that, you know. So I'll just leave that at that. Sorry to waffle on so long. Meta platforms, we're approaching a top here. We've got wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to 5 here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, probably another little move in there. We'll take a look at that. But you know, this would be the 50-60% retracement level here. Will it come back this far? Buggered if I know, but we'll just get the top and we'll watch it roll over, and then we'll just start counting the waves. Sometimes it's come back to wave 4, one lesser degree, you know. But really, this is a classic trading levels pattern here too. The arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, an ABC pattern into here, and then we'll go up again from that point. So on the bullish side, that's it here. We've got the arrival, the reaction. In this move up here, the first high above the level, we're always counting 5 waves in here. So we're kind of up here somewhere really with this, you know. Then we'll get the ABC pattern and then we'll be off again, you know. So that's kind of where we are at that point. I'm not sure what chart we've been working on here. I may or may not have updated it. So we've got wave 4 here with 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of happens here again as well. So I could put wave 5 top in here, right? Or I could put, I must have talked about this yesterday, or I could put 1 and 2 in here, and we could go up further for wave 3 up here and 4 and so on, you know. I'll put them there because I'll use them on the downside. So that would make wave 5 up here for that, you know, or we can have it here done and dusted already, you know. So I guess in this case, if the 210 here becomes the retested resistance, then with the same thing again here, let's just, because it does spike down like that, you know what I mean? So you've got to kind of use that. So if it drops through here, goes back and retests it and then drops through, then it's going to be pulled down to this number here. If it's going to pull down to this, there's going to be, you know, more weight on it, so it's going to fluff around here for a while and then go down again as well. So we're close to a top here. Is it the top? I don't know. It can be viewed in different things, but it needs to take out that low here for that, technically speaking. So yeah. Where are we? Netflix here. So Netflix we're looking at, a bit complicated here because we counted 5 waves down here. Now I'm counting 5 waves up here. So I'm thinking an A and a B and a C down here. We've got a little 5 waves here. We're looking for 3 waves back up here somewhere. Doesn't matter about that. I'll leave that there because it's just telling me I was at that 50-60%. So I know where that is. So yeah, is this an ABC up here? Could be. But yeah, so we should get, at minimum, we should get some move here for that, coming back down here. I mean, technically it can come here, but we may just come to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree. We'll just see how that plays out here. Do you want to short that? Short it against the trend without, you know, I mean, we got those 5 waves there. So, you know, normally I'd say we'll short under the B wave here. So that would be one thing. You might be able to use the classic trading levels pattern on the closest largest number. So 40 here, you could look at 40 and use the classic trading levels pattern and ask yourself, is that being retested as the resistance? And then build in a little short trade. But you come down to number 3 here and you're going to get a bounce here, you know. Number 3 is strong. It's the 1 is the strongest number, then 5, then 8, then 3. It's a bit odd, but Yeah, so this is 3 here on the way up, and if this gets support, then it goes to 5, and then if we get, you know, classic trading level pattern on 5, then we can go up again, but it's just step by step. So if this comes down here, expect to bounce off it. And Enphase here, so yeah, well, we've been looking at it in many different ways, but I'm not going to go into all of that. We're just counting 5 waves down here, and we're looking at the possibility of coming back for wave 2 here at the 200, and then dropping again at that point. Will that be the case? I don't know if it's going to come down here, because we can also look at this as an A wave here, and we can look at this as an A, B, and C wave for the B wave here, and then go up for the C wave over here for this. You know, we can look at it as an A and a B and a C here for the B wave, and then down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down to 150 we're heading. So that's in the bigger picture, that's kind of where we're at with this, down to this medium level here. You know, it's still dancing with this number here, because, you know, normally we would look at this here as, you know, group 1 and group 2 here. That's just the natural swing range. It looks quite big, but I'm on a small chart of 100 ticks here, but that's the natural group 2. Group 1 is the natural swing range for this number here. This group 2 will hold it here. This one here will pin it down. If that becomes, number 3 becomes support here, 230, then we're leaving this number. If this becomes the resistance here at 165, then we're leaving this number. But in this, it's not good to make major decisions in around large numbers until much later. Now we're getting to the point where it's much later, it's matured, so we could take the short position here. Now obviously we can look to short under here. We could bring that up to this point here. Don't have a very clear wave structure here for this. This is probably 1 here and 2 here. It can be an A and a B, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could have a top in here. I think what we could do, you don't need to rush these things, you know, because I mean, you can always put a very, very small position in, but what we kind of want is that, see, this will, if this comes down, it'll be 5 waves, right? And then we'll have this situation going back for the retest. You know, so then we can short it over here for that. So there's no real rush. If you can see, you know, the stochastics is pulling down, so it's probably likely to push up here further. So because it's a bit scruffy, this wave count here, it's a bit like, could it be this, could it be that? If you're not 100% clear, or at least 95% clear on it, then, you know, you need to wait for some more information on these. So that's what we're going to do here. So I'll just leave that for the time being. With Google here, we can look at it. We've been looking at it. We can look at it bullish or bearish, but we've been sort of focused on the bearish side, and the bearish side is an ABC for the A wave, a B wave, and then a C wave up here for the B wave. So it makes a nice ABC pattern here. Could it get any bigger here and expand up here further? Yes. Can it be bullish? Yes. What can happen in the meantime? Well, that's something that we can understand, because we know we've got 5 waves here, and you know what happens after 5 waves. Well, then you get an ABC correction. So we're either going to get an ABC correction here, or we're going to get something that's bigger to the downside. So if we get an ABC correction here, it can make a new high, which can be this B wave, or it can be a bullish count, which I won't go to at the moment. So we're really focused in on this here. So it's highly likely that we're going to come back, pulled back into 100. That's the best I can do with that. Let's just go to 1000 ticks and have a look at what we got here. So, oh, that's right. So yesterday we were talking about this. We had 5 waves down here yesterday, didn't we? So we knew we'd get some sort of rally and then down again. So we're on our way here for this, whatever it may be. Now, yeah, so we can expect to be down at the 100 and possibly lower as well. I mean, it will play out as a nice support, but we do have our first 5 waves there. I'm just going to go to 100 ticks. It's probably where we were talking a bit more about this. here. So I'm just going to borrow these over here and put these into space here. So this is what we were talking about yesterday with 5 waves down here, and then we've had some sort of rally here. It hasn't rallied much, has it? But it came back up and tested group 2 at the 65 number here. The 65 is 106.50. I know it's a bit weird, but it's just 65, 72 and 88 here. So, but anyway, it's got group 2 out now and it's coming down and bouncing here. So it's likely to there'll be a bounce off 5 here again. The first bounce is always the highest, the second bounce here. So it'll probably come down a bit further and then go back up and then come down and retest that and then drop again. Markets normally move quite quickly between 5 and 3 in both directions. A bit like this here, it moves quite quickly. Here, see how quickly it moves? I always, when I was day trading, I always like those numbers 3 and 5 to go through. Yeah, look, there's different ways to counter all of this, I guess, as well. But yeah, I mean, the safest thing I can say here is that it's likely to continue down, and but the short, because you're trading against the trend, the short, I mean, at worst it could be the A wave, the B wave, and a C wave to here. Unlikely, but what we can do about that is that low is taken out here, right? Then you know that there's got to be more to this move down here, even though it could be counted correctively or impulsively and all the rest of it, right? But that would become the short trade technically under that, and all you need to do is find a better setup for that. And Microsoft. So it's possible to have a bit of a top in here as well, but we've only got, can you see how we've only got 3 waves down so far? We've got 1, 2, 3 down, so it could be corrective. It's probably likely that we're going to get a 5th wave down, and if we get a 5th wave down, it's going to bounce off the 80 here, and then it's going to go back up here and test supply somewhere, and then come down at that point. So you can draw a line across here, you can short it across here, all of those sorts of things here. Yeah, but it's not very often that you get sort of, once a market is sitting in group 2 and especially sitting on top of it here, you know, it's not very often they fail in this particular space here before a large number like this. So I'd be a bit careful about shorting this one here. I mean, I'd be more comfortable about shorting this if group 2 here became the resistance. Then I'll tell you that there's a change in trend at this point, but I'd be a bit careful about that. And Berkshire Hathaway. So I wanted to have a look at the bullish and the bearish side of this as well. So in a nutshell over here, we can look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to come down as the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave. We can have wave 4 here, and we can look at this as wave 1 to the upside here with an A and a B and a C for wave 2 here, and then continuing to the upside here. We could also put wave 4 over here, with wave C over here for this. And we could look at all of this down here as an ABC here for the A wave over here, the B wave going over to here, and then down again, and this would be the A, the B, and the C wave here. And it's not so stupid, this one, because, you know, it's like this move with Google here. Google, Microsoft, and they kind of move the same a little bit, sort of same, but if I go back to my 50K here, so this other move that we get up here to have another move up here and then come down, that's yeah, so it doesn't really match up. Just forget about what I said. That's a whole lot of crap. But yeah, so anyway, I just think that, you know, I can't count this down here as impulsive. I have to count it as corrective. So I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. So I can see that we need to go up here further. And I've got this, you know, I've got this at sort of a minimum count, minimal count here. So 1, 2, 3, Normally the wave 3 comes in across the top here. If the rest of the market's going to fall out of bed, well, then we'll have to put wave 4 here and so on. But unless I look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2 and 1 and ABC back for 2 here, possible. Anyway, we're not going to do anything here. But what I wanted to point out is that we could still have an A and a B and a C wave here for the B wave, and then come down for the C wave. I mean, after all, this guy's putting money into banks, and on the banking side, there's a big can of worms that can still go down a lot further. So, and nothing to do there. And Tesla, okay, so so from the top up here with Tesla, we've been counting as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we're down here somewhere yesterday. So it does look like 5 waves up here, but it's a bit scruffy. But I was thinking of some sort of B wave and then a C. I was thinking of a B and then a C wave and then down again at this point. There's no way we're going to go long unless we've got this number here as the support. So just going back to the bigger picture here for a moment so we can just get a grip on that. Just looking at this in 2 ways. The move up from the low here as wave 1 and back for wave 2 here. So 1 and 2. We can kind of squeeze 5 waves out of here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can look at it as wave 1 here, and this would bring us back as wave 2 here, or we could bring wave 2 over here. This move down here, I've got it as 5 waves, but I could see you could count it a bit differently as well. But anyway, wave 2 can float here, or it can come back to the 61.8%. It doesn't really matter. Even if it was wave 2, we're not going to buy it. There's no way we're going to buy it at this point because it's not, we're not there yet, The other side to this is wave 1 up here with an A wave here, B wave up here, and then coming down for a C wave here. So an A, B, C pattern here, and then moving up from that point. It does, like I said, it doesn't, I mean, sure, there's some folks that like shorting Tesla, but most folks like going long, but there's no long trade here yet. We need support back on the two here for that, so it's just not there. And we can count, it's reasonable to count a 5 wave move down here. I can get an ABC out of it as well, but even if I had an ABC out of a wave 2 here, I'd still need a strong 5 waves up here, and I just don't have that just yet. So there's nothing to see or do here at the moment. We need it to play out further. It is maturing at this number though, I mean, it's arrived here and it's in some type of correction, isn't it? So, but it's just not, it's that sausage is not ready to roll over yet. And I'm not going to do any calling on block here, as I've mentioned. I think the case is a little move up, but then a move down at that point. That's what I'm thinking. But if we're going to short this, I want the 65 here as the retested resistance, and we don't have that just yet. And in line with that would be the banking industry, so the Bank of America here. We're looking at down here as the A wave, the B wave, and then 1 and 2 here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave. We're looking for the A, the B, and the C for wave 4. That will be the 38.2% retracement level, just above the $30 mark there. And then down for wave 5 here. Now, with this here, if we're wrong here, and we can put wave 4 here, which we can, if that is the case, then you'll need to short under here for that. You can short under there. Okay, so we've talked about this before, but we'll paint it green. So we can short it under this low here for that, just in case this is down for 1, back for 2, yada, yada, yada. And you need to exit at 25 at this point. When we come down here, the question will be, do we have the A, the B, and the C wave here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? That's the C wave, and that's the end of it. Or do we look at all of this here as wave 1 and back for wave 2? And then we go down for wave 3, 4, and 5. Now that's pretty outrageous, isn't it? You know, but you know, when you think about markets, you know, just looking at square here again, this here appears to be corrective here, so it needs to, you know, it needs to come down here. So this, if you know, this needs to come down here further. When you look at Google and those sorts of markets that haven't really rallied very much off their lows, then you know they they can move down. And what happens if the SP500, you know, is in a correction and does move down and makes new lows? Then, you know, this market here then would certainly end up at, you know, I don't know, somewhere down here. We'd have to count 5 waves of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know it seems a bit sort of outrageous, but yeah, we don't have to worry about it either. But what we do, you know, if we once this 3 ABC for 4 comes in, 5 comes in here, there'll be 5 waves down here, a bit like wave 1 here, maybe not as fast, and then we'll just watch how this goes. You know, it's not going to go up that far. It's not going to go far from $30 here. It might go to 33, touch in at, you know, one of these numbers under this level here somewhere. And then if we can look at this as an ABC pattern, because this leg here, if it's going to be bullish, it will be a 3rd wave and it'll be really strong. But if it's sort of lazy like that, well, then we know that we've got wave 2 here. And then we start looking for setups, and we'll look at this wave 3 here. So we don't know what skeletons are going to fall out of the closet. All businesses are will be hiding. They don't want to show their weaknesses. You know, that's just natural sort of human behavior. But at some point, you know, they will be exposed. Anyway, the stuff waffling. Thanks for putting up with me, and cheers.